kept hearing things no one said. My girlfriend rushed me to the ER, and doctors found a brain tumor. I never thought I'd post like this, but something is wrong with my head and I can't trust what I hear or see. 2 weeks ago at work, I sat at my desk, clicking a spreadsheet. The factory was loud. My boss's friend walked by, and I clearly heard a voice say, "Phil sighs," as he looks at the weather. I looked up. He looked back, puzzled. I asked if he said that. He hadn't. His mouth never moved. The next day, I was on the floor asking about an order. I heard one guy mutter a rude word about me. I called him on it, and everyone went still. He swore he didn't say anything. His buddy said I must have misheard. I nodded and walked off, burning. I told myself to let it go and finish my shift. That night, I told my girlfriend. She said the factory is loud and I'm stressed. She said she'd make salmon. I watched her pull out a pan. I heard oil hiss. The kitchen smelled like fish. She asked me to set the table. When she brought the dish out, it was lasagna. I laughed and asked where the salmon was. She said she never said salmon. She said it was always lasagna. My stomach dropped. At lunch the next day, I went to Walmart for a cable. A worker was shelving boxes next to me. I heard a flat voice say, "The chicken was just killed." His lips didn't move. He didn't even look at me. I asked what he meant. He turned, cautious and confused, and said he hadn't said anything. I apologized and pushed my cart away, heart banging. Little things stacked up. A shirt I always thought was green looked teal. My phone wallpaper looked too bright. In a meeting I heard, "He hates this," near a quiet coworker who never talks. In the hall I heard, "Door is locked," while a door swung open. My friend asked if I was sleeping and if I felt okay. I cried in my car, washed my face and told no one. I tried to test myself. I closed my eyes and guessed sounds. Nothing matched. I googled ear problems, migraines, stress. I told myself to wait for the weekend and sleep. I moved slower and waited a beat before I reacted to anything. I didn't want to accuse anyone again. I didn't want people to think I was mean or unwell. That night I sat on the couch while my girlfriend cooked and scrolled on her phone. Reddit was open. I saw a post on the front page that sounded exactly like my day. She saw me staring and asked why I was reading it. I told her it was mine. We sat through a long minute while the oven fan hummed. She asked why I hadn't said how bad it was. I said I didn't know how. She got her keys and said we were going to emergency. I said I had an appointment next week. She said we were going now. In the car, I stared at the streetlights and tried to breathe slow. She kept one hand open for me, and I held it. The waiting room was nearly empty. A dad held a sleepy kid. I told the triage nurse I was hearing things people weren't saying and seeing small changes that shouldn't change. She asked about drugs, alcohol, head hits, seizures, migraines, family history. I answered. My girlfriend filled in dates I couldn't remember. Blood work, vitals, a room. A doctor came in and spoke calm. He looked at me when I talked and didn't rush. He asked me to tell it from the start and wrote as I spoke. He asked if the voices matched real voices. I said they sounded like captions. He nodded and ordered imaging. First a CT, then an MRI. I lay still while the machine thumped. I stared at a tiny sticker inside the tube and tried not to swallow. Back in the room, we waited. I could hear a cart in the hallway and a cough through the wall. My girlfriend squeezed my hand twice, our code for "I'm here." The doctor came back and sat down. He said there was a mass. He used the real words. Mass, tumor. He showed me a gray shape and where it sat. He said it could explain the hearing and smells and the way I kept grabbing for things that weren't there. He said it needed to come out. My body went cold and hot. I asked how big it was and if I could go to work and if I would wake up the same. He answered every one. A second doctor came in and backed him up. They said the soonest slot was tomorrow morning. They didn't want to wait. My girlfriend nodded before I did. I signed the form even though the pen felt slippery. My name looked wrong and then normal. I texted my uncle who owns the company and said I couldn't come in. Hospital, emergency surgery. He wrote back fast to take all the time I need. A nurse clipped a band to my wrist and told me not to eat after midnight. Someone brought a gown. I asked where I would wake up. The doctor pointed to a room down the hall and said my girlfriend could be there when I opened my eyes. I looked at her and told her I was scared. She said she was too, and that scared people still show up. They rolled me toward pre-op to sign one more page. I watched the ceiling go by and counted the lights and didn't listen for any voices, real or not. I held her hand until we hit the double doors, and then I let go. Now people are treating me like I'm dramatic for going to ER. Was I out of line?